Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the friends, the family, the supporters, the community, the lovers, the haters, everybody. Welcome back. You are now tapping in, you are watching, you are listening to the Sober and Unbothered podcast, episode 3. And I'm going to start this off by saying, I'm not going to lie, yo. This week has been tough, bro. Mentally, physically, and emotionally. And this week made me think about drinking. I'm not going to lie to you. Because the old version of myself, the old me, would have resulted to that, to cope with this week, to cope with being busy all the time, to cope with the lack of sleep, to cope with the being pissed off, to cope with just being tired. And it's tough, bro. But I didn't, man. I didn't drink. I wanted to, but I didn't. And that's kind of what I want to tie into this video today, into this episode, and just talk about the things that you should know before quitting alcohol. And I got a little list here. But the first one that I want to talk about, and the first one that I kind of already been hinting at, is cravings. You know, people drink. You used to drink. I used to drink. And when you're not full, when you're battling with sobriety, when you're on the fence with sobriety, you get cravings, and most of the time you fold to those cravings. But when you're in the sobriety journey and before you get on that journey, you got to deal with cravings because cravings are going to come. Whether you're a month in, a week in, a year in, you're going to get cravings because you're human. It's going to happen. It's bound to happen. It's not ever going to not happen. And I still get cravings. Sometimes when I'm hanging out with my homies and they're drinking, I look at them and I'm thinking, damn, bro, I could easily tap in with y'all and just shit, let's take another shot too. I'll take a shot with you. Shit, let me tap in with you. Let's go ahead. But I got to remember that that's not my journey anymore. That's not me anymore because cravings don't last that long. When you get cravings, usually they last only about like 20 minutes and you just got to ride them out because cravings do not last that long. But just know it's going to happen. And you got to stay strong and be able to face that and be able to know and remember your why as to why you're not drinking. Because one little slip up and one little drink could knock you off your path. It can knock you off your journey. People would rather fall off the third floor than the penthouse. So keep going, man. Stay strong because cravings don't last forever. Just ride them out. Secondly, you don't lose friends. You just find out who's real, yo. And I say that because people say that, oh yeah, like I've lost some friends, but it's just sad. I lost friends. You didn't lose them. You didn't lose them. When you grow, you cut out all that's bullshit that's been in the way, that's been holding you back, that's been holding you down. You cut that out. And you just find out they weren't really your friend after all. You outgrow people, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you start growing and you're on that sobriety journey and they don't want to come with you or stick around with you, honestly, it's probably for the best because they probably didn't care about you anyway. Because if they don't respect your boundaries, if they don't respect your sobriety, if they don't respect your choices to want to grow, and they don't want to be a part of that or at least be happy for you and applaud for you, then honestly, they weren't for you. They just wanted to be miserable with you because misery loves company. And honestly, like, you didn't really lose them then because you just find out that that wasn't the real friend you needed. That wasn't a real friendship. That wasn't real love. That wasn't someone that really had your back. So honestly, it's probably for the best. You didn't lose a friend, yo. You just found out they weren't for you. And that's okay. Because more stable and more authentic and real friendships will come your way if you keep going. Thirdly, sobriety isn't boring. Trust me. Drinking was boring. Because when you're drinking, you're stuck in the same routine, you're stuck in the same cycle, you're stuck in the same small world. When you're drinking, you're stuck doing the same things that everybody's doing. You're stuck doing the same thing for years and years, it feels like, for weeks, for months. Every day, you're doing the same thing. Monday through Friday, you're working, you're drinking after work. Saturday and Sunday, you're drinking, partying, trying to unwind from the week that you just had. And then the next week at work, you're doing the same thing. And honestly, being sober, honestly, it's kind of the same thing, but you're doing more with yourself and you're building more in those weeks. Because eventually, the more that you keep building in those weeks, you're building a life that you don't have to run away from. Because when you're drinking, you're not building anything. You're just going through the motion. You're just living to see the next day. You don't really care. You're not building yourself. You're not building a life that you want to live. Because when you're sober, you're building the life that you don't want to run away from. You start actually wanting to add value to your life. To people end up seeing the value in you and yourself and want to be able to add to that. So it's not boring. It's work, but it's not boring. Fourth, you'll feel everything. And that's kind of the point. It's scary. And that's kind of probably why most people drink, because they don't want to feel what they are scared to feel. And feelings are scary. Emotions are scary. And let's emotions are scary, yo. And nobody really wants to feel that. But when you're sober, you're forced to feel that. And honestly, it's good that you do feel that because it only makes you stronger. So don't be scared to feel those feelings because honestly, it just makes you stronger and it makes you better at the end of the day. It's not easy, but it just gets better. Fifth or five, social anxiety phase when you face sobriety. It's real. It's real growth. You know, you don't really. How should I word this? How should I say this? Some people drink because they have social anxiety and to be able to fit into a crowd and to be able to feel better than they are when they're sober. Because when they're drinking, they get a certain type of confidence and they become a certain type of person that they feel people like, they feel they're better and they feel they're a more a value they're more of a valued character in life in the society in a social circle in a social setting, and they think drinking adds that value to themselves, adds that value to the group, adds that value to any social setting. But when you're getting sober, you have to face that because you can't drink anymore to get that confidence back. You can't drink anymore to get that character back. You can only become that character yourself. Only you can add that value yourself. Only you can gain that confidence. Only you can be the only person to be able to be that person. You have to be able to be strong enough to bring that person out of you without a drink. Because it's in there. When you were drunk, hey, you were that person. So why can't you be that person sober? When you were drunk, you were happy. When you were drunk, you were cracking jokes. When you were drunk, you were confident. When you were drunk, you had Riz. Where he at? You don't need a drink to feel that. You don't need a drink to be that person. Be that person. It's easier said than done. Trust me, it's easier said than done. But hear me out. You got to be able to find that person. And it's not going to be overnight. You're not going to become that person overnight. You're not going to become that person next week, tomorrow, in the next hour. You're not. You got to be able to keep building yourself and be able to keep being strong on that journey. Because every day you're stacking bricks, bro. Every day, man, you're building. You're building the Legos, bro. You're sculpting yourself every day. So keep building, keep sculpting, keep stacking them bricks, bro, because that person's in there. And you can definitely do it. You don't need a drink to be able to be that person. You already are that person. So do the inner work and find that person within yourself because he's in there. He's in there, gang. Keep building. And that kind of brings me to the next point. You gain real confidence. And like I was saying before, that person's in there. You just have to find that person. You have to be that person because when you're drinking, bro, you were that person, bro. You were that guy. You don't need a drink to feel that. It's scary to be able to maneuver and be the confident king. You feel me? It's scary be to look in the mirror and tell yourself, "Oh man, I gotta do this." But honestly, you just gotta keep going. I heard a quote, man. This is a dude I follow. He said that, and it kind of he was talking about confidence. He said that confidence is being able to have evidence that you can do something. So when you so what he was saying, this is what he was saying. He was saying that if you keep telling yourself, "I'm gonna hit the gym and I'm gonna get a 6-pack by next week," okay, that's impossible. But He was saying if you hit the gym and I'm gonna get a 6 pack by next year, I'm gonna have a 6 pack by next year. That's the goal. By this time next year, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds and I'm gonna have a 6 pack. If you accomplish that, that's evidence that you did that. And the evidence that comes with that is the confidence because you told yourself you're gonna do it, and the evidence is there. You can take a before and after picture, and the evidence is there that you actually did that. And by actually doing that and having the evidence that you did that comes confidence. You built up the evidence and you built up yourself. So by having that evidence to back up what you said you were gonna do when you actually did what you said you're gonna do, the confidence is there, bro. And that just goes to say that you should be able to keep building yourself every day. Like I was saying, keep stacking those bricks, keep building them Legos, keep sculpting that because it's not easy, bro. It's not a it's a marathon, bro. It's not a sprint, bro. Just keep building that. Keep building the bricks. Keep building the Legos. You got to keep doing that. 7, sleep. I ain't even gonna get into. I'm not even gonna get too deep into this, bro. You gonna have the best sleep of your life. Trust me. I'm not gonna lie. When I first got sober, bro, like I used to drink to be able to fall asleep. But then when I started getting to the gym and I started taking supplements and I started exerting myself and I started to actually do stuff in my life and to do stuff on my day and I just sit around all day, yo, I'd be tired by the end of the day. That's why I run so much. Actually, it's multiple reasons why I run so much. But when you're doing stuff every day and you're exerting yourself every day and you're moving every day and you're actually doing stuff with your time, with your life, but by the time the end of the day comes, or you're tired, bro, you're exhausted, you're gonna want to sleep, and it's gonna come naturally. Once you start getting to the gym, once you start moving, once you start exerting yourself, once you start actually like living and moving and actually doing stuff with your time, yo, sleep, it's gonna be the best sleep you ever had, bro. Start taking supplements, start moving, start getting to the gym, start doing stuff with your life. Because sleep is just gonna you start building that natural melatonin and you'll be sleeping like a baby. I sleep like a baby every night. Every night. Trust me. I sleep like a baby every night. And I love it. I love it. I don't need a drink to do that. Honestly, after this, I'm probably gonna sleep like a baby and do it again the next day. I could take a nap and still sleep like a baby because I don't know. It just happens, bro. It just happens. And that's the things when you get sober, bro. You have the best sleep. You have the best sleep ever. Sometimes you're human. It's natural to sometimes have a bad night of sleep, and that's just life. But you get the best sleep. You get the best sleep of your life. I'm telling you. Number 8, mental clarity just hits different. I was actually talking to someone the other day, and they were telling me like that they've been noticing things like that they haven't noticed before, just like in their life with their friends, with the people they have around them. And she was just saying that she was gaining a lot of clarity because she just feels like wasn't seeing everything that was going on, but now that she stopped drinking, that she just her eyes open and she just noticed a lot of things. And that's what comes with sobriety. That's what comes with having a clear mind. Clarity. You start seeing everything. Once you've been sober for a while and you start seeing how people move and you start seeing what people are doing, when you were drinking and you were living in that life and that lifestyle, you weren't really seeing that because you weren't paying attention. Your eyes were foggy, your brain was foggy, you didn't care. You were drunk all the time. But when you take that mask off and you wipe your eyes and you start looking around and you start peeping stuff and you're like, wow, that's what you was doing? That's what I was doing before? That's what I look like? This is what we was on? You start seeing that clarity, bro. You start seeing that. And I think that's the best part of sobriety, bro. The clarity. You start seeing stuff for real. Once you go out for the first time when you're sober and you go to a bar or you go to the club or wherever you go, and you start seeing drunk people, bro, you start seeing stuff. It's nothing like sometimes it's nothing ever major, but sometimes you just be peeping how people be in environments. You see that stuff. You be like, huh, this is what we was doing? This is what you want? Interesting. 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 Okay. Okay. And that's clarity, bro. And that comes with sobriety. And you start seeing stuff. And I want to anybody watching this, I want you to comment below to see or tell me what's the best clarity that you ever noticed or that you ever seen. Because everybody it happens to everybody. Everybody sees the clarity. And number 9, Nobody cares that you don't drink. If someone's hating that you don't drink, it's because they're jealous, honestly. Because I was telling someone the other day that the reason why some people kind of get offended when you offer them a drink and you say no is because when you say no, you're damn near holding a mirror up to their face and saying, "Yeah, like this is what you're doing, bro." Because you're telling that person like, "Yo, like, nah, I'm not drinking, bro," but you can like. And honestly, like when I tell people no, I don't care, bro. Like I don't care that you're drinking. I honestly don't care. Like, do you like? I'm sober. I don't drink. I don't care, bro. And I don't really like. I know this is the page and this is the whole not the aesthetic or this is the whole brand of unhinged sanity in the podcast sober and unbothered. I know it's the whole brand of being sober, but outside of the brand and when I'm outside, I don't really brag and talk about that I don't drink. I just kind of do what I do, just live life. And whenever I'm out and people ask me like, "Oh, you want to drink?" Oh, it's like, "Nah, bro, I'm cool. Like, I'm okay." And if someone gets offended when you say no, it's because you're holding up that mirror to themselves to actually make them look at themselves and make them think, what the fuck am I doing? What the hell am I doing? Because you're holding up that mirror. And it's okay, bro. It's not a you problem, bro. It's not a you problem. It's not your burden to carry. You saying no and people getting uncomfortable and offended when you say no, bro. It's not your burden to carry, bro. Do not don't worry about it. It's their problem. So just keep living your life and don't worry about it because honestly, if they get offended and get uncomfortable, they have some things to work on. They have some stuff to heal. So don't worry about it. Just keep moving and keep doing it. Keep living your life. Lastly, you're becoming the best person that you are meant to be. And I say that wholeheartedly because out of all the things that I just stated, is a lot of things that are meant to happen. It's meant to be because all these things that happen, you start becoming a brand new person. People say, "Oh, you act brand new." Nah, bro, you just healing, bro. You just growing. That's all that's happening. You're building a better life for yourself. You're building a life that you don't have to run away from. You start actually finding purpose. You start actually becoming who you were meant to become the whole time. And that's the beautiful part, bro. You're growing, healing. And that's sobriety, gang. You're becoming who you're meant to be. And every day is a journey. Every day is a battle. Every day is growth. Every day is 1%. So stop chasing materials and validation of everybody else and just start becoming who you're meant to become. Because sobriety makes you become who you're meant to be. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You are now tapped into the Sober and Unbothered podcast. Follow on Instagram, unhinged sanity _. This is T. Catch you next week.